Interviews can be scary. In terms of the level of anxiety and fear they create in you, interviews probably come just behind having to give a presentation to your colleagues or delivering a public speech to hundreds or even thousands of people. And just speaking from personal experience, having been part of the rat race for more than 15 years, and sadly still part of it, you never really stop feeling anxious or nervous before a job interview or big presentation. I once had a conversation with someone who had won an award at a Toastmasters competition. I think it was for Best Speaker, but I can't recall for sure. And even though she won the competition, she confided in me that she was incredibly nervous before going on stage. I remember her saying that her hands were shaking just before she had to go on stage. So when even someone who's not only seasoned at public speaking, but he's actually good at it, I mean, she won an award, right? When someone like that tells you that they still get nervous before they get on stage, then what more the rest of us? Knowing that anxiety before a job interview is something that will never really go away, the best thing, or maybe the only thing you can do, is to accept it and to then divert or focus your energy on the things you can control. And one thing you can definitely control is how well prepared you are for the interview, so let's get into that. Congratulations, you've got the interview. That's the next big step you need to take to get closer to that job offer. Before you get too excited though, there's a lot to do to make sure you give yourself the best chance of doing well enough to get to the second round of interviews or even getting the actual job offer. The first thing you want to do is to research. Find out as much as you can about the company you're interviewing for. It always helps to make references to the company when answering interview questions. It shows that you made the effort to do your homework. For example, when the interviewers ask a question such as, what are your strengths? In your answer, if you can highlight how your strengths are aligned with the organizational culture and strategic direction of the company, information that you only really know if you did your research, that would be a stronger answer than simply stating your strengths without any context or reference to the company. While doing this might not overly impress your interviewers, at least you will not give them a reason to reject you because they felt you didn't prepare. You've done your research, you found out what you can about the company, so now you're good to go, right? Wrong. Unless you've gone for hundreds of interviews already and through raw experience alone, you've come close to perfecting your answers to the typical interview questions, you need to practice. It's like filming a video without a script or at least a list of bullet points to guide you. I've tried that before and I always find myself stuck mid-sentence, not knowing how to continue. Maybe you're a natural in front of the camera and always know what to say. But if you're like me, if you don't prepare and practice for your interview, you could end up rambling and sharing irrelevant information with the interviewers, which could harm your chances of getting the job. How to practice? My take is identify a list of 5 to 10 interview questions that you are most likely to be asked about at any given interview. And then write down your response to each question. Where possible, try to use a structure like the SMART framework to organize your answer. And then, and I'm not kidding here, either practice in front of the mirror or better yet, record yourself answering the questions. The whole point is to be able to review your performance, not just whether you were able to articulate your points clearly, but also to note your facial expressions and body language. Were you frowning as you spoke? Or were you slouching? These are things that you might not be aware of and which you only know if someone told you or you recorded a video of yourself. And these are things that could add to the overall score that you achieve from your interview performance. These 5 to 10 questions could vary slightly from company to company, but by and large, they should be questions that are more evergreen, so to speak, so the foundation or basis for each question should not be radically different, unless of course you're switching to a completely different job role or industry. You've done your research on the company and the role, and you practice and improve how you respond and handle interview questions. You're all set. Well, almost. There are some basic hygiene factors that you need to take care of, and in case it's not clear, just to clarify, my take on this applies to those interviewing for jobs in the corporate world. Obviously, if you're interviewing for a punk rock band, then what I'm about to say might not apply. First up, your appearance. Yes, even in this day and age, like it or not, it matters. You could be the most brilliant person they ever interviewed in the history of interviews, but if you look unkempt, if you smell bad, those are the first things they'll see and smell, which would put you at a disadvantage right from the start. For guys, maybe get a haircut before your interview, or at least style your hair neatly. Try not to look like Tobey Maguire did in Spider-Man 3. Ladies, I wouldn't presume to know what works best for you, but I would imagine keeping your flowing tresses in place might be a good idea. For example, if you have bangs or fringe, they probably shouldn't cover your eyes. But hey, again, just want to say I'm not the authority here on professional hairstyles for ladies. You should know best. And in a similar vein, your attire matters. So as obvious as it might sound, don't wear anything too revealing or any shirt with colorful language on it, as it might come across as unprofessional. If you have tattoos, best to cover them up if you can. Unless they're all over your body, like this lady who couldn't get a job at TJ Maxx because she claims that they allegedly discriminated against her because of her tattoos. Personally, I don't think tattoos should be an issue at all, but not everyone might feel the same. So try to avoid having it become one of the key talking points among the interviewers during the post-interview discussion about you. Make sure you get enough sleep before the interview. Last thing you want to do the night before the interview is to go on a drinking binge or a Netflix marathon till 3 a.m. If you do anything like that, all the coffee in the world is going to help you recover in time for the interview. I mean, look, you want your mental faculties to be at their sharpest and nimblest for the interview, and that's only going to happen if you get enough quality rest. Arrive early at the interview location. It's always better to be too early than too late, especially when you don't know the interview location. Well, you'll need time to orientate yourself when you get there. I once went for a job interview at a big insurance company in the CBD, and I couldn't find a building because I was unfamiliar with the location, so I was walking all over the place. Not only was I almost 20 minutes late for the interview, but I was also sweating profusely by the time I got there. Obviously, I flunked the interview. No surprises. And actually, now that I think about it, I'm surprised they even proceeded with the interview in the first place when I was already that late. And my last tip, which is going to sound so mundane, but it's so clutch, is to bring a small bottle of water with you. Not every company offers you a drink before the interview. I can't tell you how many times I went for an interview and found myself feeling extremely thirsty halfway through. I could have asked for a cup of water, sure, but sometimes the people interviewing you are so senior, so high up there in terms of the company hierarchy that you almost feel too embarrassed to ask. So it's far easier to have your own bottle of water with you and to then just take a sip every once in a while. And sometimes taking that sip before you answer the question helps in two ways. One, as you take a sip, it helps to calm you down before you launch into your answer, so it helps you to pace your interview. Two, when taking a sip, you can take those few seconds to think about what you want to say before you say it. And I find that always helps. Those few seconds of taking a sip really help to calm me down and help me to come up with a more thoughtful response. Alright, so those were some of my thoughts on how you can prepare for an interview. If you have any tips of your own or questions you'd like to ask, feel free to comment below. Hope you found this video useful. If you did, smash that like button as it helps this channel to grow, and also the subscribe button to stay updated for more videos on career advice, tips, and support. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one. Bye for now.